opening. I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. I am opening. I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. I am opening. I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. So here we are. We are opening. We are ready. We are completely ready to receive all the good that's available to us. I know this for each one of us, that we are here in this amazing idea of God Center for Spiritual Living in Princeton. It is a going concern, and we are not concerned with its growth. We know that it is here and it is working. We're working it. I am opening. I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. I am opening. I am opening. My heart is ready to receive.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And yes, it is a going concern. Where all of us are concerned about the world, about whatever's going on in our own personal world. And so we come here to the Center for Spiritual Living Princeton to learn how to live a spiritually focused life and what that means. And so who are we? We are a loving, healing, and inclusive community. We are a community which teaches and practices the principles of the science of mind for the well-being and spiritual growth of ourselves, of you, and of the world. And so we are here at the Masonic Temple on River Road in Princeton, and we wish you were here with us.
Indeed.
And for those of us who are here in this room, it is a community, a spiritual community. We come together to share with other people who are of like mind and to grow together. And so we welcome you to be part of that. Today we are really privileged to have Reverend Frankie Timmers, who is from our center in Morristown. Yes, yes. And what's the title of your talk?
Resistance to change.
Resistance is futile. Resistance to change. She's going to speak to us today about. And so that's really wonderful. And we have our practitioner, Regina Quince, who will lead us in reading and meditation. Some things that are going on here. Next week, I will be giving a talk on what's expanding in your life. And the week after that, Lori Carlson, who has spoken here so beautifully before, will be here to present to us. And so we really welcome you to be part of this. As I always say, this is not a Sunday morning religion. This is about our lives. And so we welcome you to join us. In September, I will be teaching a course called Visioning, a Way of Life. For those of you who may be familiar with Michael Beckwith and the Agape Center, he teaches something called visioning, and we will be teaching that. It's a form of meditation. How do we get in touch with what the deeper parts of us want from our lives? That's what visioning is. It's something that we can learn, we can do on a regular basis to know, instead of just reasoning around problems, around what's happening in our lives, we can get deeper help from within ourselves. And so again, we welcome you to the Center for Spiritual Living Princeton. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, John. This is a Sanskrit chant adapted by Deva Premal. And she says it means, may the ultimate truth and that which is beyond all boundaries be victorious. May there be peace, peace, peace. Shri Sashe Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Paramatma Ki Jai. Om Shanti 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 Om. Om Shri Sashe Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Paramatma Ki Jai. Om Shanti 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 Om. Shri Sashe Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Paramatma Ki Jai. Om Shanti 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 Om. Shri Sashe Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Paramatma Ki Jai. Om Shanti 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 Om. Shri Sashe Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Paramatma Ki Jai. Om Shanti 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 Om.
Thank you very much. Woo, that really puts you in the mood, doesn't it?
Bravo.
Very nice, very nice. Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
Well, I'm Regina Quince, one of the licensed practitioners here at the Center for Spiritual Living in Princeton, which I'm glad that there are those here who want to share molecules with us. And thank you for everyone in virtual land that is enjoying the service and who will watch the recording of the service. It's been a good week. A lot of hope, a lot of love, a lot of giving. And personally, I've had a lot of extraordinary, wonderful things that happened to me. So it drew me to the Golden Key. And if any of you remember, Reverend Karen, I think Reverend Karen actually gave us all a copy of the Golden Key, but I've been here for over 20 years, so I don't know exactly what. Oh, did I have a date on here? 2002
Wow.
is my copy.
Mhm.
And the Golden Key, I would advise or recommend that you read it, because it's just a simple approach to dealing with any situation you may have. We have someone here who has their leg up, their ankle up. But any situation that comes before you that you could use some help in healing, you'd like it to kind of go away. And we have a power that's available to us, that's in us, and that's as us, of us, to work through these things. But Emmett Fox has a great approach to this. So, I'm going to first read from The Science of Mind, and then I'm going to read from The Golden Key. So, in The Science of Mind, in the Physical Perfection chapter, Ernest Holmes writes, the practitioner involves an idea in mind. It is the law which creates. As a practitioner treats his own mentality, which is simply a point in mind, he reaches the mentality of his patient. The practitioner can erase the thought of pain from the patient's mentality when he has first neutralized the idea in his own thought. And understand, we are all practitioners. We're all practitioners. So, from the Golden Key, scientific prayer will enable you sooner or later to get yourself or anyone else out of any difficulty on the face of the earth. Enticing? Any difficulty? So he goes on to say, God is omnipotent, and man is his image and likeness, and has dominion over all things. This is the inspired teaching, and it is intended to be taken literally, at its face value. Man means every man, and so the ability to draw on this power is not the special prerogative of the mystic or the saint, as is so often supposed, or even of the highly trained practitioner. Whoever you are, wherever you may be, the golden key is harmony in your hand now. All that you have to do is this. Stop thinking about the difficulty, whatever it is. Think about God instead. That's it, but I'll keep reading. It makes no difference what kind of trouble it is. It may be a big thing or a little thing. It may concern health, finance, a lawsuit, a quarrel, an accident, or anything else conceivable. But whatever it is, just stop thinking about it and think of God instead. That is all you have to do. I'm going to repeat that. This is the complete war. No, here it is. It makes no difference what kind of trouble it is. It may be a big thing or a little thing. It may concern health, finance, a lawsuit, a quarrel, an accident, or anything else conceivable. But whatever it is, stop thinking about it and think of God instead. That is all you have to do. Do not try to form a picture of God, which is, of course, impossible. Work by rehearsing anything or everything that you know about God. God is wisdom, truth, inconceivable love. God is present everywhere, has infinite power, knows everything, and so on. It matters not how well you may think you understand these things, but practice it. I just added that. Practice it, practice it, practice it. So, with that in mind, and since I'm only the POD and I'm giving a lesson, I'm going to go into a brief treatment. But I hope you absorb what I read to you. So knowing that there is only one mind, we acknowledge it. We know it's harmony and peace and power and joy and abundance and beauty. We know that it is in us, each one of us, as us, of us. And we know, as each one accepts this power, this grace, this blessed assurance, it unfolds goodness and grace and blessings in our experience. The desires that we have been seeded with by this Creator blossoms into a great experience and demonstration for us. And in those moments where we doubt it or we don't practice it, we are guided to do that, to practice it, to let it unfold, to embrace it, to embody it. We are guided to do that because we, each one of us, we are the I am that I am. And so in this gratitude and knowing this word is set along, knowing that it is done. And so it is.
Don't worry, mother. It'll be all right. Don't worry, sister. Say your prayers. Think of God. And sleep tight. And it'll be fine. Brother of mine. It'll be just fine. And lend your voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend your strength to that which you wish to be free from. Fill lives with love and bravery, and we shall lead a life uncommon. I've heard your anguish, I heard your hearts cry out. We are tired, we are weary, but we aren't worn out. Set down your chains till only faith remains. Set down your chains. There are plenty of people who pray for peace. If praying were nothing would have come to be. Let your words enslave no one, and the heavens will hush themselves to hear your voices ring out clear to the sounds of freedom. Sounds of freedom. Come on, you unbelievers, move out of the way. There's a new army coming, we are armed with faith. To live, we must give. To live, and lend our voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend our strength to that which we wish to be free from. Fill your lives with love and bravery, we shall lead. And lend our voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend our strength to that which we wish to be free from. Fill your lives with love and bravery, we shall lead. A life uncommon. my great pleasure to introduce. It's very interesting because my first exposure to New Thought was Emmett Fox, specifically the Golden Key. And then my first experience with New Thought, with our teaching, was Reverend Frankie, because I played a gig at her church with Kathy.
Wow.
And I still remember for that talk that day.
Wow.
You were coming back to the country, and you had some green card issue. And I'll never forget, you said, so I went back in the train and prayed, and it was all straightened out,
Wow.
and you came back.
Oh my gosh.
I will never forget that as long as I live. And then you were my ministerial trainer, and so there's so much history here with Reverend Frankie and Morristown Center and now the new center, and here she is. She is wonderful, and I know you're going to remember every word that's said to her.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you remember that story. It just came to me. I was in Toronto at an ordination of Barbara and Connie Phelps. Barbara's, I forgot her name. And we were on a high. It was the most amazing experience. And I get back on the train and my passport had expired. I have a Dutch passport and a green card. And American customs was a lot more rigid than Canadian. And I was like, I gotta go home. It was Saturday. I had Sunday celebration. I just sat and treated. And they came back and they say, you promised to go to the consulate right away? I'm like, I promise. That's so funny. That's like, I don't even know when that was. More than 25
It
years
was
ago.
2000, probably 2001.
And you were with Kathy Moser?
Kathy Moser and Beth.
She's
Yeah.
still, oh my gosh, how fun. So hi everybody. I'm so happy to be here. You're all so precious. There's a really great cartoon that I just love. And I just showed it to Susan, and the one I showed her had an additional piece. It's a 3-block cartoon. Some of you may already know it. The first part of the cartoon says, it's a person at a podium with a huge crowd, and the question of the person at the podium is, how many of you want change? And all the hands go up. The next thing of the cartoon, it says, how many of you want to change? And everybody's like this. The third part that's new to me said, who wants to lead the change? And the room is empty. This may be something that's familiar to all of you, and I am really glad what you read today. I think Emmett Fox might slap me in the face, my first part of the talk. Thank God it's a thin little book, so it wouldn't hurt me too much. But what I'm going to arrive at is the last thing that you shared about the practice. So the reason I brought up the topic of resistance to change is because our human part of our nature does not like change. We don't like change, the human part of us. My teacher used to say the only person who wants change is a baby with a dirty diaper. So just kind of think about all the changes that have happened in your life and how you actually got through them, or you wouldn't be here, but how many of them you were resistant to. But once you surrendered, you're like, oh, thank God I'm rid of that ex. Thank God I have a better job. Thank God I found a way to experience greater health and greater abundance through practicing these principles, right? But our human part of our nature does not like change. And there's a lot of change happening at Center for Spiritual Living Princeton. Just like there's a lot of change happening at Center for Spiritual Living Morristown, because I have a little bit more than 6 months as the spiritual director, and then I'm re-inspiring. I say re-inspire because I don't need new tires, and I'm not tired. Retirement, get that, the word? So I'm re-inspiring. And And that's a lot of change because I've been there, it'll be 32 years.
Wow.
Just like Reverend Dr. Karen was here for a long time. That's a lot of change when the spiritual director retires or re-inspires, or there's many ways to change. I mean, COVID, as most of you know, changed everything. Before COVID, you had a full room. Now you don't. Before COVID, we weren't always online. Now we are, right? And so there's so many changes. And what's asked of us when there is change, if we call ourselves students of this teaching or practitioners of this teaching, whether licensed or not, we're called to a different state of mind. We're called to a different way of welcoming and embracing change. The good news is that the spiritual aspect of our nature, you can call it our soul, likes change. Really likes, actually doesn't like change, I should say. It doesn't like change. It loves change. The spiritual side of our nature loves change. Why is that? Because nothing is constant but change. Change is a constant thing that's happening. We just notice it more when we feel resistance. We just notice it more when life presents us with big changes. We just notice it more when we experience loss or grief or a disconnect. And so I want to talk about those two aspects. I was shamed the other day for not being more absolute in my thinking as a minister. And I was like, okay, I happen to believe in both ends. I'm not an either or kind of person. I'm not the kind of person that Ernest Holmes says, say peace, 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 but be at war inside ourselves and in the world, even in very subtle ways, right? I like the both end, and that has changed for me a lot over the years. I like to look at what I notice in the world and in life and with people around me, and where I notice a disconnect or discontent within myself or others. That's my invitation to embrace the truth, to embody it, and then once I embody it, it has to show up in my life. So I like to use my life to shift my consciousness. And sometimes, I can say this word in Morristown, so I think I can say it here, sometimes it sucks. Sometimes it's just really hard and painful. And we prefer to be in the resistance because it's so much more familiar. It's almost more comfortable than having to change. So the whole idea then is to ask ourselves, if I'm experiencing resistance, why is that? And I know why isn't the best question, right? Because when we ask the question why, there are an infinite amount of possible answers. But it can really help when we're feeling a certain way. Well, what's going on? What's happening? To honor our feeling experience. Because I know in this teaching, we sometimes use it as a baseball bat. And I think we have to be really careful to not use this teaching against ourselves. And I know what I'm talking about because I did that for years. But to use it for waking up, for understanding ourselves, for honoring our experiences and our feelings before we shift into knowing the truth. Some call that spiritual bypass, which we don't want to just skip that. We want to just acknowledge what we're experiencing and use that as well, besides the life experience, to wake up to something greater that's already within us. So I'm not looking for really long answers. I'm looking for kind of like quick pop-up answers. Why do you think we resist change?
Fear.
Fear? Yes.
Anxiety.
Anxiety.
Yeah.
Doubt.
Maybe feel uncomfortable.
We don't want to give up our comfort.
Uncertainty.
Uncertainty.
Maybe I'm not good enough.
Not feeling good enough?
Maybe I'm not good enough for the task.
Maybe I'm not good enough for the task. Maybe I'm not up to it. Yeah, all those answers, absolutely. And did you notice how quick you were with the answers? That's because we're familiar with those answers. I am very familiar with doubt and anxiety and fear and worry and comfort or discomfort, not feeling good enough. Of course I am. I'm having a human experience. This human experience is here to awaken me to my spirit, to the truth within me, to grow me, to evolve me, so that I don't have to do it all over again. We don't talk a lot about reincarnation. Ernest Holmes didn't quite believe in it, but it's funny sometimes to think about that. You know, my teacher used to say, we're in the earth school learning things so we don't die dumb. I made a t-shirt for him. That's true, right? We want to know that we grow, that we outgrow certain habits, that we learn a few things while we're here. I think about that. Not so much because I believe or don't believe in reincarnation, but I believe that my spirit is eternal, so there's got to be something after this. And because I think there's got to be something after this, there's certain things I don't want to take with me. And some of that is my resistance to change, my fears, my worries, my doubts, my anxieties. If they're a pattern that keeps circling around in my life, then I might want to do something about that if I don't want to take it with me. So what happens then when we're experiencing resistance is that kind of question. Why? What is this about? Let me notice it. I was in an aggravated state this morning on my way over here. And I was like, okay, so I can't bring that in here. There were two reasons I won't bore you with. They were personal. And I'm like, Frankie, what do you need? So I actually stopped the car for a moment. What do you need? And I was like, I need some music. So I played some new music. It's this really cool Sufi hip-hop artist. And it shifted me. I also treated, of course. So by the time I walked in the door, it just kind of was gone. And I love to do the work of The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, where I just notice what I'm feeling, I release it. Notice what I'm feeling, I release it. So what happens then is that we are triggered. We're triggered when we feel resistance and we go into that place of anxiety, aggravation, fear, worry, doubt, all those things. And we want to pay attention to those because the reason they're coming up is because we're ready to be free of them. So, why do we feel resistance? Because we want to feel safe. We like to be safe in our little bubbles, whether those bubbles are ourselves, our home, our relationships, our families, our little world, right? We just want to feel safe. It's a feeling. I want to feel safe. Uncertainty that COVID era has revealed. If the COVID era revealed anything, it is that nothing is certain. And our spiritual self knows that. Our soul knows that I don't know what's going to happen when I walk out these doors. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And it's at peace with it. Because it knows the only thing it has is this very moment, this very breath, this very heartbeat, that there's nothing else. And it is settled in that. It is certain in that. It is surrendered in that. And then there are the distractions. I don't know if you guys experience this, but when I'm on my smartphone a while, which I'm addicted to, I feel different than when I'm not. When I wake up in the morning, it's usually early because I like to go to bed early, I spend about 3-4 hours reading, studying, meditating, treating, all that stuff. It's kind of one of the reasons why all my books and magazines are marked all over, because I dive in deep. And I save them to go back later, right? So I'm in a different space. Once I turn my phone on and I'm looking at my email and my text and Facebook or whatever else, there's an energy shift that I notice that is more antsy and is more easily distracted. My meditation teacher calls it weapons of mass distraction.
Wow.
It's the intention of our smartphone, our computer era behind it. You can kind of do research on that if we want to, but that's really the intention when it comes to consumerism and capitalism and the economy and making money. It's keeping us distracted. Scrolling, right? So that's why I turn my phone off at night, and on Fridays I unplug. It doesn't even go on. So it's a way that I work with that because I notice the difference. So I know what distracts me. And that can be different from one day to another. You may notice what it is that distracts you in your life, in your world, whether it is the resistance to change or anything else. Just notice it without judgment, just being aware. So the other way that we have resistance to change, we just want to go back to what was, or back to normal. If only so-and-so was still here, so-and-so was still that. If only COVID hadn't happened, if only I were younger, if only I had more money, if only right? We do these things where we want things to go back to how they were. Personally, I don't want to go back one day. I want to be in this day. I want to move forward from this place. I don't have any regrets anymore. I just am so grateful that I get to live the life I get to live and that I have learned what I've learned through this beautiful teaching. But it's important to notice that desire of wanting something from the past, or when we hear somebody say it, how we feel and how we react. The other thing that happens is grief. I happen to believe that we now live in a culture, a country, maybe a world where grief, ungrieved grief is rampant. We haven't even properly grieved what happened during COVID. And that is because we don't want to feel all that. So where do you think that goes? Addictions are rampant right now. Mental health issues are rampant right now. That doesn't mean we all have to go around going, right? But it means that we have to experience what we're experiencing. I feel grief all the time about what we've done to our planet and to each other, what we're doing to each other. But when I allow myself that feeling, it doesn't stay, it shifts and it moves. And I always arrive at a place of remembering that the reason one feels grief because one has felt love. One knows love. And so when we allow ourselves to feel what we feel, love arrives once again to sustain us, to heal us, to support us, to feed us. And then, as Marilyn said, anxiety. Have you noticed that there's a collective consciousness around anxiety? That people are just really anxious right now? That there's this subtle anxiety and restlessness. That is grist for the mill if and when we're on a spiritual path, because it reminds us to be more solidly grounded in the truth. And I'm going to get there to that practice. The last thing that I want to say is, from the Science of Mind magazine the other day, which talks about how when we say, well, I know that. How often do we do that when it comes to this teaching? Well, I know I should treat. I know treatment. I know meditation. I know that. We don't really know it until we actually fully live it. It becomes second nature. It becomes embodiment. This is from last Monday, and Ernest Holmes's quote is from the Science of Mind, page 44, where he says, "Should all the wisdom of the universe be poured over us, we should yet receive only that which we're ready to understand." Should all the wisdom of the universe be poured over us, we should yet receive only that which we are ready to understand. that is an infinite idea in the mind of God, and therefore an infinite idea in us. So we're always get to expand in greater and greater understanding. We don't arrive at the perfect understanding anytime. She tells the story, Reverend Sally Robinson, of John Randolph Price in his book, A Spiritual Philosophy for a New World, of a woman who came to him at a retreat, and she asked him for advice about a challenge that she had. And when he told her his answer, she said, I already know that. And he says, the truth is, if you really knew that, the challenge wouldn't have entered in your life in the first place. He added, maybe it's time to bring some humility into our lives and admit that we do not have all the answers. And maybe it's time to start practicing the truth we so eagerly share with others so that we can be the teachers of wisdom we were sent to be. She goes on later talking about the Buddhist concept of Shoshin, which is this idea of beginner's mind. And she says that beginner's mind means that we are open and receptive to inner guidance, to deeper knowing, to letting go of preconceived ideas. Shunrui, I hope I pronounced his name right, Suzuki wrote, in the beginner's mind there are many possibilities. In the expert mind, there are few. So in our teaching we say, as within, so without, Master Teacher Jesus, right? We know through our teaching that the outer is simply a reflection of the inner. That our consciousness is always projected outward and it's showing us what it is that we think and we believe. That's the most challenging concept to really embody because we're so resistant to saying, there for the grace of God go I. And so we keep working with that, right? That's what I had to do with my aggravation this morning. And I was very resistant because I already know that when I go home, I need to go back to what was going on in my mind this morning because there's something more to uncover and understand, right? So, beginner's mind. No matter how long we've been in this teaching, 40-some years, we get to always come back to that place of beginner's mind, especially when we feel resistance to change, when we feel anxious, when we feel looking for comfort, when we feel doubt, uncertainty, when we're worried, anxious. I mentioned that already, right? We go back to beginner's mind with the greatest compassion. Because I don't know about you, but shaming, judging, using a baseball bat or a whip, whether it's proverbial or not, just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It just creates more of that which we place upon us. And so what we do then, from a place of beginner's mind, is we go back to the truth, back to spirit, back to our spiritual nature, back to our soul, and say, come on in. I welcome this experience. I welcome this feeling because there's something in it for me. It holds gold. It holds joy. It holds wisdom. As long as I resist it, it cannot dissolve or change. The moment that I welcome it and embrace it, infinite possibility make themselves known and are revealed through us, sometimes to us, like on a train coming back from Canada and the person saying, all right, you're good to go. There's so many lovely examples, right? And so possibilities are revealed when we trust, when we surrender, when we welcome change, when we're willing to stay open and receptive. That is true for Center for Spiritual Living Princeton, as a group, as a family. That is true for Center for Spiritual Living Morristown. That is true for anyone, anywhere, anything, anytime. The question is, do you want to change? Do you want to lead the change? Some of you are clearer about your leadership. And that's important because that's legacy. I know some of the history of CSL Princeton. I know some of the people who were the spiritual leaders of this community. I know some of the challenges and changes this center has gone through over the years. But you who are here now set the tone for the future, whether it's death or growth or anywhere in between. So it's really important that we all do that work of inner change and embrace the possibilities so that the future can be, as we say in Centers for Spiritual Living, become a world that works for everyone, where everyone feels welcome and blessed and supported and graced. But we know in our teaching that it's the inner work first. I would say the inner work and the service on the outer realm. Because sometimes in our teaching, we get too focused on just doing the inner work. I'm treat every day, I meditate, I'm good, I'm studying. Well, but how does it show up in your environment, especially when it comes to our spiritual communities, right? And so that's why we do our spiritual practices. And in our teaching, there's 5 of them, right? How many of you know what the 5 spiritual practices are in our teaching? Shout them out.
Treatment,
Spiritual mind treatment, visioning, meditation, visualization, affirmations. Yeah, and then there's service and study, which is definitely an aspect. We'll make it 7. Service and study, yes, absolutely. And so all the spiritual practice that you have already done are the fruits in your life now, are the fruit in this community now. All the practices we are doing are what sustains us now and sustains the changes we're going through. And all the practice we are to do in the future will bear fruit as well. We already say in our teaching, we already know, that all there is God. All there is God. What the heck does that mean if we don't experience it? It just means that if there's anything else in my mind, it's just my projection. And I get to take that back and say, that's interesting. Something new wants to happen in and through me. Something new wants to be experienced. Something wants to open and receive the grace that always has been, always will be, is right now, moving in and through me. And that's the gift. And then we just get to shed all those judgments, those limiting beliefs, those fears, those worries, those anxieties, right? That are just a natural part of life. And we do it gently, and we do it with compassion, because that's what we want more than anything. Compassion, kindness, gentleness, love, acceptance, right? All right, well, that's all I have to say.
All right.
Namaste.
That's a lot to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I love being here.
So this is our time for conscious giving. And our wonderful practitioner of the day is going to lead us in that practice.
Thank you, Reverend Rich, and thank you, Reverend Frankie. A lot of food for thought, contemplation, reflection, and much appreciated. The law of giving and receiving by Ernest Holmes. Everything in nature moves in circles. What goes out must come back. Unless the seed is sown, it cannot bear fruit. There must be a planting time for every harvest. Those who give all, receive all. Those who refuse to give limit the possibility of the greater good returning to them. Love, and you will be loved. Thank you. And for those of you out there in virtual land, you can always go to our website, cslprinceton.org, and click that donation button. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Grateful, 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 yes, I'm grateful. Grateful, 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 yes, I'm grateful. Grateful for the message, grateful for the message. Grateful, yes, I'm grateful. Grateful for abundance, grateful for abundance. Grateful, yes, I'm grateful. Grateful for the change, grateful for the changing. Grateful, yes, I'm grateful. Grateful. Grateful, grateful, yes, I'm grateful. Grateful, 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 yes, I'm grateful. Grateful for the treatments, grateful for the treatments, grateful, yes, I'm grateful.
Grateful for Rich.
Frankie, will you give us the closing treatment?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay. You're invited to close your eyes if you like. You can maybe place your hands on your heart if you like. Oh, I'm so grateful as I withdraw my attention from the outer world and bring it to the inner world, to my heart of hearts. I immediately feel my deep connection with the divine. It is like an infinite fountain of love and grace and peace and harmony and wealth and health and joy and whatever else I can think of. This is the place to go. This is the place to hang out. And I hang out here long enough until I feel a shift in consciousness, especially when I feel any disconnect. Because I know that when I experience a sense of separation from this divine presence, it's just the world showing me what to remember, what to know more deeply, what to surrender, what to let go of, what to heal. So I welcome my life and my life experiences as ways to awaken to the presence and the power of divine love within myself. How could I not be grateful? Because I know that I have grown, that I have changed, or I wouldn't be in an adult body today. And so many other ways of being. And so I'm grateful for my willingness to learn and grow and expand and move around and be a gracious presence in the world. I know wherever that comes from, there is more. And so celebrating the more, I go forward excited with all the possibilities that I get to be a part of, starting within my own consciousness. And so I celebrate Center for Spiritual Living Princeton, anyone and everyone who has ever been a part of it since the beginning of time, anyone and everyone that's a part of it now, and anyone and everyone that is yet to find this beautiful community and this glorious teaching. Any obstacles are dissolved by means of this word right now. And I let the blessings of this truth settle into my consciousness and reveal themselves in the world. knowing that when I speak the I am, I'm speaking from the divine presence within me to all those who are hearing these words, for all those who are hearing these words, and so it is.
So,